And welcome back to coverage of Grand Prix Portland. Marshall Sutcliffe in the booth with Zach Hill, and we're in the top 8. Two heavy hitters here in our initial feature match. Zvi Moshevitz on the right-hand side. This guy's a Hall of Famer. He's going up against Matt Nass, a Grand Prix champion in his own right, and he's managed to stay on the train for quite a while after his big success at Grand Prix Oakland.
Yeah, yes. Zvi doesn't really get to play in a lot of Grand Prix, but the ones he plays and he makes count. He also put up a solid performance at Grand Prix Atlantic City.
He did.
Doing very well here, too. Starts out exactly like a Affinity deck wants to start out.
That's right. So he is playing the Robots Affinity deck, and he has 2 creatures to start things off and an Inkmoth Nexus. Matt is playing Melirapod, and he's going to start off with a Deathrite Shaman.
Deathrite Shaman, obviously, one of the key cards in this deck or any deck, gets a little bit weaker against Affinity.
Yeah.
Just because, they're not really full of instants and sorceries to use against them, so you're not dealing them as much damage. And they don't have sack lands, so he's just less likely to be a reliable mana source.
Yeah.
Although still, obviously, you have plenty of sack lands to fuel it with also.
Sure. You just have to make sure you use that resource carefully.
So this could be a pretty brutal turn for Zvi if he has an additional mana source. He's got Cranial Plating there. He's got Vault Scourge, but it looks like he doesn't have the 3rd mana.
No, so he's got 2 mana available. He's going to have to do this in the installment plan. I see that he's got an Etched Champion as well.
And he's one more card that I can't quite make out. And an Ornithopter. So yet another target for the Cranial Plating, plus another artifact to start raking in the damage.
Really great start for Zvi here. That was turn 2.
Yeah, no, it's the second turn, and you've got Vault Scourge, which is exactly where you want to put Cranial Plating. Matt can deal an arbitrarily large amount of damage, but sometimes he has to go plan B and play a mid-range deck.
Right.
And a lot harder to do that as V is at 30-something life.
We see Wall of Roots from Matt Nass. Doesn't use it, just passes a turn back.
So, you have to expect here is V just an equip to the Vault Scourge and an attack. It's not like Matt's going to do anything in instant speed. Matt, really not that many ways to interact in this deck. He's got 2 main deck Abrupt Decays, 2 Murderous Redcaps, and he's got an Orzhov Pontiff, which could actually be devastating, binning both the Vault Scourge and the Memnite, as well as the Inkmoth Nexus if it's corded out. However, doesn't have access to any of that right now. So Z just kind of trying to figure out what to do. Is V not going to equip Cranial Plating?
He's decided not to equip. He's just going to battle in there for 1. You got to look at Orzhov Pontiff there.
We're playing Etched Champion?
Yep.
It's pretty hard to resist hitting someone with a Cranial Plating for a lot of damage.
It is definitely.
I guess it would be 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, okay.
Now Zvi looks like the Hall of Famer that he is, as we see that he would have wasted his whole turn. Basically his turn's worth of mana equipping the plating, and he got to use his full 3 mana instead to play the Etched Champion.
So Matt displaying one of his 2 Abrupt Decays. Not so many.
Those are very good versus V. He would like as many of those as he can get his hands on.
That's exactly right. And he has a few more removal spells he could bring in after sideboard, but that Etched Champion certainly presents a lot harder to deal with than a 1 toughness Vault Scourge.
Now that being said, Zvi's clock doesn't look particularly blazing at this point with that Cranial Plating in the bin.
No, it's not. And that's exactly right. Zvi has no more cards in his hand. That Ornithopter not doing a lot. Memnite not doing a whole lot either.
No.
You have to feel like he's going to probably just start getting in with some Inkmoth Nexuses in the sky.
Yeah.
But not really a whole lot going on. No Arcbound Ravager, no Cranial Plating, and now Matt Nass has a decent chunk of his combo together.
He does. He's got a Sacrifice Outlet with the Cartel Aristocrat. He's also got the Kitchen Finks. So he just needs Melira, and he can gain an arbitrarily large amount of life. Last time we saw somebody go off on camera, it was 300 trillion.
300 trillion
that we came up with, yeah.
I would respect Matt Nass if he went 301 trillion.
Yeah, just to raise him.
Just get him.
All right, so let's see what Zvi's drawn. Well, it's a Mox Opal.
So that lets him activate both of his Nexus. But Nass, I mean, he's got a 1 toughness creature, so Birthing Pod or Court of Calling or just drawing the Malira straight up is good enough to really do it right now.
And it looks like Zvi is going to keep the pedal to the metal now. The S Champion and the Vault Scourge are attacking. Also the 2 Inkmoth Nexuses, but not the Memnite. That was used to make mana.
Yeah, exactly. You see the Spring Leaf Drum right there. So Zvi, I mean, I can't be too upset about the 4th mana source, but definitely needs a Thought Cast and some hard-hitting cards right away. On the other end, Matt, not
3
really
lands
doing
in
a
hand?
whole
He
lot
must got
over
at least
there
2.
either.
He's got at least 2 lands in hand.
Yeah. Falling to
Seen that
15.
third card.
We say, all right, a counterattack. Kind of some anemic beatdowns.
Hey, this is
from both of
5
these
damage,
guys.
yeah.
11 a.m. standard competitors.
That Ornithopter holding off the Deathrite Shaman attack.
For the 11 a.m. standard.
it is.
Defense.
I like it.
Please
Okay.
find your seats.
Fascinating game.
All right, so
And Vault
Zvi
Scourge
has
doing work.
drawn his card for the turn. I can't quite get a look at what it was. He's got it face down there on the table, and he is contemplating his next move. I mean, he can just keep doing the same things that he's doing, but he really could use something with some punch, like another cranial plating.
Arcbound Ravager.
Yeah, you know, even something like Steel Overseer would be
Yeah.
excellent here, just to.
All right, so we see he's activating his ink moths a little bit differently now, giving himself 2 colored mana, for one from the Mox Opal and potentially one from the Springleaf Drum.
Yeah. So what's
he's-
this play here? Well, there it is. It's
All
Steel
right.
Overseer. Okay. So Zvi got in with 1 Inkmoth Nexus, and also with the Vault Scourge and the Edge Champion.
Interestingly, Matt Nass can increase or can make his team huge with Gavany Township. All he has to do is just tap his Steel Overseer.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking about it.
It is much more efficient, also much more fragile. But
No,
but also,
that is very true.
yeah. Interestingly, we've got a race. You know, I mean, Matt Nass is kind of just on the beatdown plan. We just saw him remove his own Abrupt Decay to lose, makes Zvi lose 2 life.
Right.
It's kind of an interesting look for Matt, but you know, he's working with what he has, and I mean, he does have 5 power that can attack pretty freely here.
And really, Matt has a lot of live draws right here. I mean, he's got most of the combo on the table, so
Yes.
a tutor does it. Orjav Pontiff is a wrecking ball right now. Eternal Witness not that good because he just lost the Abrupt Decay, but still a lot of creatures
Well,
that
he
can do
drew
him
a
some
Birds
good.
of Paradise.
And find your seats.
So a bird, not really what he was looking for. Right?
No, it wasn't.
I mean, he still can crack in for 5 damage if he wants to, and that sounds like what he's going to do. But letting Zvi on tap with that Steel Overseer is not good news for Matt.
No, but it also doesn't look like he has a choice in the matter.
No. All right, cacaw, he says. Now, the bird can block the Vault Scourge if that becomes important
That's
for some
true.
reason.
It also can jump in front of one of the Inkmoth Nexuses if they get huge, and it would be lethal.
Yes.
Attention players who signed up for booster draft number 24.
They are going to get
That is
very
booster
large.
draft
I mean, this
number
represents 4
24.
poison
Please
coming
come to
across
the main
this
event, to the
turn.
side event stage. Your draft is
Yep.
firing.
And this is
Players
actually
who
a
signed
lot
up
of
for booster draft
infect, too. This could
24.
bring
Your
That's what
Matt
I'm
draft
to
is
saying.
7
firing.
poison.
Please come to
4
the side
poison
event
coming
stage.
across if he wants to.
Hey, beat down for the Ornithopter. Ornithopter, though, also could block Cartel Aristocrat if it needs to.
Uh-huh.
But as he says, no, I am on offense. I'm trying to decide if Matt top decks Gavany Township, how close to lethal that is. That's 4, 7, 8, 9, 10. With Zvi at 10.
And Zvi is going to activate that Steel Overseer. Right, I mean, that's going to happen this turn.
yeah,
so Zvi
one
will be
has to assume
completely
so.
tapped out.
So yeah, wow. I mean, does Matt have to block? Matt doesn't have to block here. Because he's just 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, but Zvi is going to gain life due to Vault Scourge. So it won't quite be.
Yes. He's going to gain 2 life.
Booster draft number 24.
Right, and Matt's going to be able to gain life with his Deathrite Shaman, but relevantly not going to be able to make Zvi lose life.
Oh, Nexus. Okay. Sorry. You were pointing this, and I was Yeah. that's-
All right, here comes the
that's
dice.
only option you don't have.
Yeah, I was going to say that Steel Overseer is definitely tapped.
And that is a lot of
counters.
mana worth.
A lot of beads.
There's more. Yeah, there we go. They ran out.
And Memnite's been doing some work as a wannabe Bird of Paradise
Yep.
this entire match.
2, 5, 6, 7.
All right, so he's blocking the 2 from Vault Scourge with Bird of Paradise.
No, he blocked
Or is
the
that right?
Ink Moth.
He blocked the Ink
Nexus.
Moth. Okay,
Yeah.
that's why he's at 5. Got you. So that means that Zvi's Ink Moth next turn cannot threaten lethal unless he gets another untap with Steel Overseer. That said, that's probably going to happen.
That is. That said, Matt does have
right,
some ways
so
he can just do some nasty things. All right, he gains 2 life, goes back up.
Nasty things.
Yes, that's right.
So big turn here for Matt.
Don't
That
roll your
said,
eyes at
Matt
me,
still has a lot of outs.
All right, let's see what Matt draws here.
What are we looking at?
What can he get? Malira would do it. It's another Birds of Paradise.
Another Bird of Paradise. And I think, no, I mean, if Matt plays some D. No, yeah, he can. Yeah, so he can block the Inkmoth Nexus again. Inkmoth, like we said, super relevant because it
Absolutely.
represents a way to beat Matt if Matt is at 300 trillion life.
That's right.
And Zvi can remove Malira.
Right.
Okay, so Matt being aggressive.
Yeah, Malira is thought of mainly as a combo piece in the deck, but it does have a pronounced effect when some of your creatures have infect.
Yeah, exactly.
It's funny.
Kind of a nice upside.
Card does
to
what?
Yeah.
It has a lot of text.
Pretty good to just cast against the infect deck that we saw on camera.
Yeah,
earlier today.
yeah, absolutely. Especially because that deck doesn't have a good time reaching out and killing other stuff.
Exactly. So it looks like Steel Overseer in hand for Zvi, as well as I think a Springleaf Drum. Do you just turn everything sideways?
I mean,
like your Memnite
that's
can
my
get
default
in now.
stance, and then I just like back off from that every time I'm making a decision.
So Deathrite Shaman not going to gain Matt any life this turn, although it could because he has Cartel Aristocrat, which he can sack.
Yep, he can block with the bird sack.
Oh, and he can also sacrifice Kitchen Fangs to, in essence, untap it and block if he needs to. Steel Overseer, Memnite, both creatures that could be effectively blocked right here. So, I mean, if you're Zvi, you just get in with the Nexuses. Say, like, hey, okay, you have to lose your bird. I'll keep the rest of my guys back to block so I don't die randomly to your team.
Yeah.
And, you know, just sort of say you're going to die to my Nexus no matter what.
Looks like Zvi's doing the math here.
It's like Etch Champion is definitely connecting, but that is all we really know right now.
That's right. All right, so there's mana being made that's going to activate both Nexuses.
Yep,
and
that's the plan we're on.
Yep.
And okay, we're seeing a bigger attack again. That Vault Scourge going to gain Zvi a pretty meaningful amount of life.
It will. 3 life here, although, yeah, because the Nexuses are lethal, so he does have to block.
So the bird is going to die, and at least one other thing has to be blocked. At the very least, Matt has to sacrifice his Kitchen Fangs, I believe. Right, so yeah, Ornithopter's 2/5 from Etch Champion, 8 from Vault Scourge. So yeah, at the very least, Matt has to lose a counter on the Finks.
Does he have to do the counter on the Finks and activate the Deathrite Shaman, or just one?
I believe he only has to get a counter from the Finks.
Okay. I mean, he can do
Which
both.
is relevant because that
He's
means
just going to do both anyway.
Yeah, sure. Well, yeah, he's going to use it on
Or actually, he's just doing that one. Or is there a dice on that Finks? I can't quite see.
Yeah, I think there
He
is.
did do that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And that's going to leave him.
Oh, right. So he's sacking Bird before it dies, obviously, to just make sure he gains some life before damage happens. So he's plenty safe.
Yep.
Zvi fairly comfortably at 10. Also, Matt relevantly cannot top deck Malira for the win, right? Or for effectively the win.
Right.
Just because he can't sacrifice.
There's already a counter on the
or does Malira remove all counters?
No, it says they can't be placed on your
Gotcha.
Number 9. Your draft is firing.
So that means Zvi couldn't get the infect win, or would have to remove Malira before he could do that, but does not allow Matt to combo out.
Yeah, and it makes that Etch Champion very lethal. Let's see what Matt has here. It looks like he's counting some stuff up. He hasn't conceded.
Yeah. Zvi has got multiple forms of lethal being presented.
He does.
But Matt has not really had any draws in a long time.
And it looks like Matt just said go.
Yeah.
A couple of cards in hand for Zvi, but he doesn't need any. He is presenting lethal. Is that an Arcbound Ravager?
Oh, wow.
It could make
That would
things
be
even
extra
more
lethal.
complex. Yeah.
I mean, I think you just attack with a Nexus, attack with Etch Champion, and say, like, show me.
Yeah. I mean, this is the point, right, where Zvi feels very confident that he has the win, but he wants to make sure he doesn't screw
Exactly.
it up.
Yeah, and it's, like, very easy to screw it up in a deck as complicated as Affinity.
Right.
And a deck where you spend so much time throwing away your own permanents.
Right.
Yeah, this is really one of the first times on camera we've seen Steel Overseer take over a game. That's
Yeah.
exactly what happened.
Yeah, and I'm surprised, too. I mean, it is a lightning rod.
Yeah.
As we see, Zvi Moshevich does take down Game 1 versus Matt Nass here in the quarterfinals of GP Portland. That's why. Right? That's why we didn't see this happen very often, is because the thing takes over the board and it turns all of these throwaway permanents into win conditions.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. Ornithopter beatdown, man. That's how you do it. All right, so let's see if we can. Do you have any sideboard thoughts here for us, Zach? On like what does V board in? Like what is?
I think if you're Zvi, you want to bring in Grafdigger's Cage for sure. That stops. It gives you an artifact, which is really good in your deck. It stops Court of Calling and Birthing Pod.
Okay.
I like Whip Flare a lot. That takes care of Bird of Paradise. It takes care of Deathrite Shaman. It takes care of a lot of the just dirtlier guys. But I think we're checking out another match right here.
All right, so let's take a look at Sam Party on the right versus Paul Rietzel. Looks like Sam's up a game.
11-9-5.
You got to figure that Paul's probably the favorite in Game 1, though it's probably not a huge favorite, but would have an advantage.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things about Affinity is that, in general, your Game 1 matchups tend to be pretty good. The downside is after sideboard, everyone has ways of hating you out.
And everybody hates losing.
And everyone hates losing
to that
to Affinity.
deck. Yeah, it's just like you've got this little target on your back no matter
creeping
what.
corrosions being played.
People just refuse to lose to that deck.
Don't want to do it.
That's
But,
funny.
I mean, that said, Paul, Sam's at 5.
So Paul's looking in decent shape here. Now he's tapped out, so no, he's got a Darksteel Citadel, so his Etch Champion is active.
Right.
It has Metalcraft.
I just know that it is terrifying when your opponent has Birthing Pod and creatures on the table. That is just horrifying.
Was that a Harmonic Sliver that he just sacrificed?
Yes.
Okay, so that's not going to kill the Ornithopter here. It's just going to become something
Yeah,
bigger.
I mean, he can get a Murderous Red Cap if he wants to. Get Ranger Veos for Viscera Seer and Deathrite Shaman. Probably trying to set up the combo in some fashion right here.
All right, good call, Zach. That's exactly what he did.
So he's got, essentially, he's got the Malira and the Viscera Seer next turn if he wants it, because he can trade in his Bird of Paradise for a Birthing Pod. The question is, can he get a Persist card?
Yeah, another question that I have is, so Paul gets an untap and a draw here. He does have an active Etch Champion. If he draws Cranial Plating, that's it.
Yeah, that is. And I think if he draws Arcbound Ravager, that is.
Okay, and he did not draw either. He drew a Blinkmoth Nexus. He has a Vault Scourge and a Signal Pest in hand.
All right.
So it looks like Sam's going to get an untap step here, and does he have the resources that he needs to make to finish the game from that?
I think he's got to just produce a Kitchen Finks somewhere.
Okay.
Or I mean, he can cash in. Yeah, I mean, his right now his Deathrite Shaman doesn't appear to make mana, but he still has 4, so it only takes him 1 to use his Birthing Pod. Even if Etch Champion attacks, that'll put Sam at 3, which lets him use his Birthing Pod for 1 if he needs to. The question is, can he produce a Finks or a Murderous Red Cap?
Okay. So we will see if he can do that as Paul Rietzel bolsters his position and does set up lethal for next turn here. Sam is at 3 life, not 5 like it shows. He's only got 1 poison, though, so that's not probably going to be a big factor here, but he's at 3.
Now, where he is constrained, because now if he sacrifices his Verdant Catacombs, goes down to 2, but that means he's got to spend 2 mana on his Birthing Pod.
Yep.
So, he's only
so does he really get ahead in that way?
Yeah, exactly.
Because he gets an extra mana because of his Deathrite Shaman, but he can't use.
Now, it does thin his deck out, which is very relevant right now. He's drawing to a copy of a single card. But yeah, a really, really tight game right here.
Yeah, this is a close one here. Paul says, all right, man.
What you got?
Show me. Paul's at 19, so there will be no Gavany Township wins here. It is going to have to be a combo kill, or if not a kill,
right.
He can get arbitrary large amount of life and just lock out Paul Rietzel from this game. Now, there is still a poison situation here, but like you mentioned before. All right, so combo piece 1. We know that he has access to the second combo piece with Malira because he can just hack a Birds or a Deathrite Shaman. The question is, can he produce a Kitchen Finks?
That's exactly right.
How hard could it be?
Here, Finksy, Finksy, Finksy.
Yeah.
He's got 4 copies in his. Sorry. Does he have 4 copies? He has. Let's see, Sam Party.
Now, for those of you just
4
tuning
copies
in.
of Kitchen Finks.
4, okay, yeah. For those of you just tuning in, this is, yes, Malirapod versus Robots. No, this isn't our main feature match, which is also Malirapod versus Robots.
I think they're on opposite sides of the table in the previous match. Funny enough.
This one is Paul Rietzel versus Sam Party,
Right.
and this is a critical turn in Game 2. Sam Party up a game over Paul Rietzel, and Sam needing to make something happen. An
so
Edge
he can
champion.
get Reveal Arc,
Okay,
Revel
there's
Arc,
Revel Arc.
and he can sack it. That would allow him to get back Harmonic Sliver. And is that a Malira in his graveyard?
Yes, it is.
Okay,
Malira
so
Silvok
that
Outcast,
might-
but then he wouldn't. He still needs to find.
Yeah, he still needs a Persist creature.
He does.
But I mean, this does. No, because even Harmonic Sliver cannot deal with the Edge champion.
No, the Edge champion. And, you know, we saw Paul dump his hand. And let's see if we're missing anything here. Does Deathrite Shaman active? Can he go back up to 4?
Oh, sorry, Deathrite Shaman is active.
Okay, so his life total is a virtual 4 here. But
And,
right now, because of Signal Pest, he's going to get in for 3.
Right.
This is about as close as it gets. It looks like the Birds of Paradise or the Revelar can jump in front of the Vault Scourge and or the Signal Pest. There is a Blink Moth Nexus down there, though.
Right. So, and we
Activated.
see 3 flyers. So I mean, I think that this is it for Paul.
I think so, too.
Yeah.
Wait,
Oh,
what
but-
is
oh,
this?
he's got action?
Abrupt Decay.
Oh,
To take
wow.
out Signal Pest, which is a big one. Now, he did have to tap his Birds of Paradise, but he still has a Revel Arc to block Vault Scourge, so it doesn't matter.
No, but yeah, I still think. Okay,
This is still 2 damage, though, potentially, right?
right because.
But he needs to get the full 4 in.
But he is going to 1 with that Misty Rainforest to go back
the
up to
Misty
3.
Rainforest, you're right.
So that means that Blinkmoth Nexus,
Uh-huh.
Vault Scourge, Edge champion. I think that's lethal.
Okay,
Marshall.
yeah, because he needed 1 more mana to be able to activate his Deathrite. He basically can activate Deathrite to gain a life because of the Misty Rainforest. Now, Paul is thinking things over. I don't know what other decisions he has here, but I think he's just seeing what is what, and he's just going to attack with everybody.
Oh, but yeah, he can stack the Revel Arc to Viscerous here, like we were talking about, to get back Harmonic Sliver, which kills the remaining unblocked flyer.
Okay.
And gets Malira back. So
No.
yeah, he does, right? He does stabilize.
So far, though, he has gained the 2 life. He's back up to 3. He's blocked the Vault Scourge. Now, the Edge champion still looks to be in good shape to get in there. It can't be blocked. All right, here's our Harmonic Sliver, and he's going to decide which one he wants to kill. He's already blocked the Vault Scourge, so he has to, well, I don't know if he, I guess he has to kill the Blink Moth.
Right. So yeah,
And
back down to 1.
Right, back down to 1, and he did get a Scry there. We saw him put it on the bottom.
Yeah.
So he does get an untapped step. Now, he's still not in a great spot. He needs to find a way to get out of this.
I mean, the one thing that is nice for him is that his Deathrite Shaman is containing the Edge champion. And, okay,
Yes.
he's going to get Murderous Redcap.
And
That's
there's
going to be
Murderous
game.
Redcap, and that's going to do
Wow.
it.
Wow, what a tight match.
Sam Party finds the win there as
What
Paul
a
Rietzel
tight
applies
match.
maximum pressure.
Come to the side event stage. Your winner box is firing.
And that's that. Wow. That was really
That
close.
was incredible. All right.
All right, are we back on our main match? We are. Moshevitz on the right, Matt Nass on the left. Matt with a reasonable start, no 1-drop, but he does have a wall of roots. Certainly would like to see a 1-drop from his deck, though. And there's a Steel Overseer. Now, we talked about that a minute ago. Steel Overseer really can be a total house here.
Yeah, and, pretty slow start from Matt. I mean, doesn't have a 1-mana accelerant, which the deck essentially wants all the time. Sees V, I mean, also not a blazing start from him. I mean, Ornithopter is, even if you're taking it up with Steel Overseer, it's going to take a long time to become a Hoss.
Yep.
So we're Matt
it's a wannabe Azure Drake. It's a few counters
one of these
away.
days. It's got to flap its little wings.
It will. It will. All right, a land for Matt Nass. Let's see what he has on this turn. He's got 4 mana available now.
You have to think about Affinity, and it's pretty easy to think of it as like the artifact deck, but it's also just a really fundamentally sound deck. I mean, it gets to play Moxes. All of its lands do things. It's Springleaf Drum. It's able to use as essentially a 1-mana Mox.
Does get the maximum out of its
card
cards.
drawing with Thoughtcast. I mean, the deck really, if you just look at it as like a Magic deck, is pretty solid.
Now, we had an interesting turn there from Matt. He played a Viscera Seer and a Harmonic Sliver. He used that to take out the Steel Overseer before an activation could even be had.
That was a pretty brutal Harmonic Sliver because now it strands the Ornithopter, renders it somewhat useless. Even if V has a Mox, he actually has to tap his Nexus just to turn the Mox on.
That doesn't get you anywhere.
So, yeah, you see a Glimmer Void. Playing Glimmer Void here, kind of risky. With only 1 artifact out. I mean, he's going to develop his board further than that, but still that very powerful Harmonic Sliver from NASA's side.
All right, so now all of a sudden we see Svi making a big commitment to the board, and that was a great turn for him.
That was a very good turn for Svi.
2 of his most powerful 2-drop Steel Overseer and Cranial Plating have been added to the board, and he passes the turn back with confidence to Matt, saying, "Look, the ball's in your court, sir. I have made a potentially lethal board here for you to deal with." So let's see what Matt can come up with. We know that the Melirapod deck can take a few different routes here. It can grind them down with value creatures like Harmonic Sliver, Korsali Pride Mage and stuff, or it can just kill you out of nowhere.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And you also see Lingering Souls out of Matt's sideboard. Excellent weapon against other mid-range decks, but particularly against Affinity. You had, each token blocks and trades with like a huge percentage of Affinity's creatures. It trades with Vault Scourge, trades with Signal Pest, trades with Ink Moth Nexus, trades with Blink Moth Nexus.
All right, a couple updates from Rusty. We've got Joe Demestrio's up a game over Mattia Rizzi. He's up 1-0, and Ori Guo is up a game over Dan McDonald.
So Matt cracking yet more lands, searching for yet more cards. We see the Viscera Seer on the table, and Matt decisively tapping 4 lands for what I expect to be a Ranger of Eos. Is that? Oh no, Birthing Pod.
Birthing Pod, okay.
All right, and activating it right away with a Wall of Roots. Now we've got Viscera Seer. We could trade in that Harmonic Sliver for a Murderous Redcap, which would both kill the Steel Overseer and set up a combo finish potentially.
Yeah, that seems like a nice
Another thing you could do is actually cash it in twice, kill both Ornithopter and Steel Overseer at the cost of losing your red cap.
Yeah, you can use the first ability to kill the 2 toughness Ornithopter and the second to kill the 1 toughness Steel Overseer.
I think you... Oh, yeah, maybe that's what's going to happen, I think.
All right, we've got a gunfight here. I mean, these guys are just drawing on each other. Boom, boom.
He sees
I mean, right when Svi
replaces
his board, it just gets shot right back down again thanks to Murderous Redcap. And this is the Scry from Viscera Seer happening.
Oh, yeah, and he gets to manipulate his deck on top of everything else.
And he's got a decision here, it looks like.
You know, if we level up the Reveal Arc with the red cap, we're going to blow up even more of Z's permanents next turn. We could do that at instant speed if Reveal Arc's sitting on the table with Viscera Seer right there.
Yeah, and there's a Harmonic Sliver sitting in the yard.
Yeah, just kind of doing this the old-fashioned way.
Yeah.
You've got being a greedy individual, I want to get that Glimmer Void off the table somehow too.
It'd be pretty sweet.
So yeah, pretty good turn for Matt that turn. Birthing Pod is such a hoss.
It is versatile. And Matt's really good. You know, this is the type of thing that he excels at is at combo decks and
he does
sometimes
almost
they get
always
very
play
complex.
a combo deck.
Yeah, he's really become kind of the combo deck guy. I mean, he'll play other stuff, but
of course.
It's what he'd prefer to do. And he does well when he has a ton of options like this deck gives him.
So Zvi adding another Nexus to the table, really trying to put together some sort of offense. But I mean, he knows, Zvi knows what Matt Ness's deck can do inside and out. So he's got to figure out a way not to get blown out with what he already sees on the board.
That's right.
That's a great way to do it, though.
Yep. All right, quick update again. Joe Demestrio defeats Mattia Rizzi, so he's going to advance to the semifinals. And yeah, that's a threat.
I mean, we see the cranial plating right there. The thing is, Matt, essentially whenever he wants to, can get that harmonic sliver back and blow up plating, meaning the Edge Champion not quite as big of a threat as it would be under other circumstances. Still, though, can get through without Matt being able to do a whole lot about it. Just the other thing Matt can do right now is try and set up a combo finish.
Yeah, sometimes when we're commentating this deck, it's like, oh, he can kill this and he can get that, and it's like, oh, never mind.
Oh, also he can just defeat his opponent.
Yeah.
All right. We're seeing him get up Forest. Matt looks like he's preparing a plan right now. Yeah. I don't know. Are there any lines up there? I mean, you could trade up the Wall of Roots for a Kitchen Finks.
Yep.
You could trade Viscera's here for a Melira, although I don't know that you'd want to do that. Very fascinating that Wall of Roots, there are two different kinds of minus M counters right now. The -0/-1, not stopped by Melira.
Right.
Actually. So he is trading up the Wall of Roots. Oh, Orzhov Pontiff.
Orzhov Pontiff, okay.
So this is how he's going to kill Etch Champion.
It just gets -1/-1 until an turn or whatever, though,
Yeah,
right?
but if he's going to haunt.
Yes.
And if he, okay, yeah.
Another birthing pod. He's going to pay some life. So he is paying a bunch of life, but he has Svi top decking, and he's going to get this. Looks like he's going to get the Etch Champion too.
Or he can. The Etch Champion is dying for sure.
Right.
I expect him maybe to trade up the red cap for a Reveal Arc, and then haunt the Reveal Arc, kill Etch Champion with the Pontiff. He can haunt red cap too, and it doesn't matter. And kill Etch Champion, kill Cranial Plating, and then get a red cap back along with a Harmonic Sliver to really do a ton of damage when double Birthing Pod also setting up lethal from that position.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think you called it, Zach.
Well, you also could just attack with a 4/3 flyer for a little while if you really want to.
Matt Nass sitting at 9 life. Just got to be careful that he, maintains his life total, but otherwise he's firmly in the driver's seat here in this game against Svi Moshowitz. This is game 2. Svi won game 1.
I respect the lack of greed in trying to go up from Revel Arc into like Sun Titan or Grave Titan or something.
It just stops there. Yeah.
I would not be able to resist. God, I want to go get Elish Norn.
Yeah.
That's all I want. So Svi counting, but we can get Orzhov Pontiff back. Oh, I guess we can't because it's haunted. So we actually can't get that guy back with Reveal Arc. So we see an Ingmod Nexus. A lot of Nexus on Zvi's side of the board. All right. So do you just block one if you're mad? I mean, Zvi has 2 black sources, I think. Yeah, from Glimmer Void and Mox Opal. So he can switch the cranial plating at instant speed. But Matt can also blow it up at instant speed. And can also blow up both of those Inkmoth Nexus. Yeah, goodness. So if he gets back Harmonic Sliver Red Cap, he can kill both Nexus and cranial plating.
Oh my gosh.
And Scry for 1 on top of everything else. Which I think you have to do right here. I mean, you. Yeah, all right.
So he has double black to equip. Sack this to Scry.
Boom, headshot.
Red cap. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And then.
And Scry.
Yeah. And do you want to just kill the other Nexus? I guess you don't. You're just like, whatever. I've blocked it. I don't even have to take a damage. So now he can get Ranger of Eos off one of the Birthing Pods. He can get another red cap. And having 2 red caps is good right here because that means he can kill the Nexuses at will.
Yep.
And start really attacking. But now he's going to go for Ranger of Eos to start his curve over and get Melira. Oh, no. So it's just game, right? Yeah, he gets a 1-drop, gets Malira, and kills him.
Yeah, he's explaining it to Svi right now because Svi said, well, I want to see how it goes.
How much you doing?
Yeah, and that's how it goes.
So Svi's asking him, how much are you doing? He wants to know the exact number of damage.
All of the damage.
All of it.
I am doing all of it.
Any damage in this building, I do it to you, sir. All right, so we have an equalizer. Matt Nass and Svi Moshowitz tied at a game apiece here in the semifinals of Grand Prix Portland. I'm Marshall Sutcliffe in the booth with Zach Hill, and we're going to get a game 3 out of a Hall of Famer versus a GP champ and frequent Pro Tour player.
Yes. Yeah, this is a great matchup right here. I mean, games can end a lot of ways. I mean, we saw it with the red cap combo. Zvi can either win the early game with just a fast blitz of creatures, steal Overseer, or go a little bit longer and try and get up a cranial plating on an Etch champion or some Arcbound Ravager counters on a champion. So both players have multiple avenues of victory they can pursue in a matchup like this. I mean, that said, Zvi just straightforwardly being on the play.
Yep.
Has got to be a huge advantage.
It feels like it is. We saw his quick start last game. He had 3 permanents on turn 1, and he had like 5 or 6 on turn 2. He just dumped his hand on the table, and that kind of pressure is pretty tough to deal with when Matt needs to kind of fiddle around with stuff. One of the big benefits to the fact that the combo is aided by a birthing pod is that you can pay that Phyrexian mana to get it down sooner and to use it more often. But when you're being beaten down, that is much less of an option, and birthing pod is very slow.
Yeah.
If you have to pay full mana for it.
No, that's exactly right. It does let him. It does just allow him to start cashing in. One of the problems the deck doesn't have very much, unlike other decks of its ilk, is like drawing redundant mana creatures, because it's just so easy to cash them in for combo pieces or for kitchen finks and things like that. But I mean that's the thing. If you're under too much pressure, you're like you said, your birthing pod may not get off the ground at all.
Right.
So
who do you like in this last game?
It's really hard to say. I mean,
Matt has a lot of tools.
I've got to give the edge to Matt because of his 3 copies of Lingering Souls. I mean, the thing about that is it just beats every normal draw of Zvi's.
Yeah.
And then between Kasali Pride Mage, which I think he has access to, yeah, he does, Harmonic Sliver, and infinite ways of recurring all of them. Dismember if he wants it, although I don't even know if he does.
He does. He's got one in his hand.
Oh, he does? Oh, okay, yeah. So, I mean, it keeps a lot of Zvi's big threats off the table.
All right, both players have kept, and it's a game 3, double Ornithopter start. Where's the land? There it is. It's an
Springleaf Drum. Is this a Springleaf Drum Thoughtcast? Or?
I think he has 2 Thoughtcasts in hand.
So he can't quite cast it right away, but
right, he's 1 mana off.
Still can really gas up next turn.
Yeah.
That's a lot of cards.
And he does have the 2 Ornithopters, which aren't ready to do anything now, but there's a lot of ways to enable those to get in for damage.
I respect the super old school Ornithopter.
Me too, man.
Love it.
I mean, although not Black Border is really sketchy. You really want that Antiquities.
Can't win them all.
Yeah.
All right, so he's going to activate his Ink Moth, making both of his Thoughtcasts cheaper.
Right.
And he's going to draw 4 cards right now. That's a lot of cards. Yep.
And that is a Steel Overseer. And I didn't see the second card. Might have been another one.
All right, and here we go with some more Thoughtcasts.
Eventually you're going to get.
And I didn't see those 2 cards.
I think at least one of those is Arcbound Ravager.
Okay, so he drew some gas here.
That's some art that's imprinted on my skull probably forever. That's so he's got another Glimmer Void. And so again, build your own Bird of Paradise with Ornithopter and Springleaf Drum.
I mean, paying 2 cards for it, perhaps not the most efficient way, but you do what you got to do.
Look, man, we can't all be winners.
I mean, they do run significantly fewer lands as a result, right?
There you go. And hey, it has 2 points of toughness.
Yeah.
So no electrickery here, son.
No. Although, now that you mention Electrickery would be very good.
I've wanted to play Electrickery against like half the decks we've seen.
Yeah, that's interesting. I might do that. I might
see
put that
so
in my
many
Red, White, Blue
Lingering
deck.
Souls.
Yeah.
So many Vault Scourges and Signal Pests.
Yes, you can just get people.
Yeah.
So many birds and...
Birds, yeah. Noble Hierarchs. Get
Can you,
2 of them,
can you
kill
believe
a
the
Geist.
Deathrite Shaman has 2 toughness?
Look, man. See,
I'm not going to let this
the card wouldn't have been playable otherwise.
Yeah, that's right. All right, so Matt Nass still thinking about what he wants to do for his turn. He's taking his time, making sure he does it right.
I wonder if I can draw 4 cards. Probably not.
Is he running Master of Ethereum? I'm curious.
He's running one copy of Master of
Right,
Ethereum.
I think he may have drawn one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think he might have one in his hand.
I wonder if he brings in Blood Moon in this matchup. Probably not, I guess, because of all Matt's mana creatures. All
Yeah.
right, the Malira Silvok Outcast looking moderately awkward, at least.
Yeah,
right now.
it's a bear.
Yeah, oh yeah. So Zvi last turn elected to Thoughtcast rather than play a Signal Pest, thinking the 2 damage not all that important, and wanted to have as much information as possible. Also wanted to make sure he hit his land drops.
So he's got a Steel Overseer in his hand that he can cast here.
He's got access to 4 mana. I mean, I
Yeah.
wonder if you just drop 2 Steel Overseers and you say, like, hey, man.
And I think this
I'll
is
cast
going to be the Master of
Master?
Ethereum here. That does allow him to attack for 2 damage right now.
Yeah, there we go.
Although if he wants to use the mana, he doesn't get to do it again. So I think he's just going to attack. All right, he's going to attack
Yeah,
for 2
and he can tap Master of Ethereum, too, for
to make
mana.
the Signal Pest.
Yeah, and I think you do that.
Uh-huh.
This is a lot of damage next turn
Okay.
all of a sudden.
Hey,
That's
this is an impressive board state
1,
now.
2, 3, 4, 5, and then a huge Master. So, and Zvi absolutely not done. I think he's got some Steel Overseers, some Arcbound Ravagers, and
Yeah, we're looking at like 11 damage here, potentially, like if he activates the Nexus, and that's if he plays no more no
Right.
more artifacts on his
so
first
I'm
main.
wondering if that Master is out of Dismember range. It looks like it's actually not.
Let's see. So right now it's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, it's not. It's gonna get. Oh, but Matt's gonna play Kitchen Finks, which is a.
Well, so, I mean, it bricks walls the Master because he's just got Malira and Finks. He doesn't have a sack outlet.
Yeah.
But that means he just block, gain 2 life.
Also, it's particularly scary from Zvi's side as he's now 1 combo piece away,
Yep.
any sack outlet,
Yeah, exactly.
and we're talking 300 trillion life potentially. I don't know what kind of guy
No.
Matt Nass is, but
Now,
probably
Matt,
300 trillion.
actually, like Zvi, kind of thankful for Malira's ability right now. That means he can get in for 2 more points with the Inkmoth Nexus. That means 1, 3, 5, 7 points on the attack right now, even if he does not attack with Master of Ethereum.
Interesting.
And, I mean, we could also just gear up an Arcbound Ravager right now for some truly serious
Is that an
damage.
Overseer? I'm not sure he played it.
That
Well,
is
there's the
Overseer.
Overseer, but I don't know what that is up above.
That's a Springleaf. Those are 2 Springleaf drums,
Okay.
I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think we're going to see both Master and Steel Overseer attack.
No,
or-
that's a Grafdigger's Cage.
It's a Grafting. Wow.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
He would just die, right?
Didn't realize that.
All right, so he's clearing up what would happen
All right.
if the Kitchen Finks dies now that the Grafdigger's Cage is in.
So that is a devastating Grafdigger's Cage. That means that all what we're talking about the Kitchen Finks blocking, not coming back from the graveyard, no Quarter Calling or Birthing Pod shenanigans. Zvi getting some value out of his singleton Grafdigger's
Wow,
Cage.
this was a massive turn for Zvi.
Yeah. Wow. And that Inkmoth Nexus, just 2 points of regular damage, which is actually exactly what Zvi wants it to be right now.
Right now, Matt is asking if the Inkmoth is going to deal him any damage.
Oh, yeah, it certainly is.
So they changed it or something?
I think.
Positive that Inkmoth will deal combat damage.
I should have checked because I wasn't positive. But
Unless I misunderstand it.
The judge says that he's positive that it will deal combat damage, and Matt said, did they change it?
No, I don't think so.
So I think he's going to double check with the head judge.
Can we get Malira up on the screen right here and check out exactly how that's worded? Yeah.
like,
So if it loses Infect, that just means it's a regular old Blink Moth. Yeah.
So there's Malira. It says creatures your opponents control lose Infect. So it's a
Right.
1/1.
Yeah, it's a 1/1. It's a Blink Moth Nexus that cannot pump itself. So, yeah, huge amount of damage for Zvi right here. And so how much is that, actually? It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That is a 9 power from that Master, I think, due to Signal Pass.
16.
Jeez. At
All right,
10.
so they have now. I believe that they're waiting for the judge to get there, but they're doing some math. Oh, it's a layer thing.
Oh, because it's a.
Rashad's a judge, and he says it could be a layer thing, and he's kind of shaking his head because layers can get complex. That's what judges are for, and it's a good reason to call one over to make sure that it's explained properly. But apparently,
Layers.
Matt Nass's life total wasn't 19; it was 17,
Wow.
and they have determined that that's exactly what what Zvi is attacking for here.
We're hearing that it could gain Infect in a different layer than lose Infect. Yeah.
what is the question specifically?
Right.
Right.
So, because it's worded such that it says they lose infect, but there might be a layer thing where if something gives it infect later.
Well, it doesn't have infect.
I
Yeah.
know the rule used to be that it didn't deal damage. I have no idea what it is.
All right, Matt says he knows the rule used to be that it didn't deal damage.
Look, dog, I don't know.
Whether it deals damage
I just make
versus
this
whether
game.
Well, I can't have infect counters placed on it, so if it does infect damage, then it's going to do nothing.
So
Let's take a
I
listen
see.
to the
I
conversation.
missed, let me just talk to Arthur real quick.
Okay, they have made it clear to the judge what the question is, and he's going to go ask the questions.
No, I see the theory. Like,
Yeah. I know it used to work that way. I don't know if it changed.
pretty relevant attack.
I had the same ruling come up in the GP.
What's that?
I had the same ruling come up in the I apologize. You're right.
Yeah, Rashad's telling us that with humility, for example, and that's where this conversation goes usually.
This was
Yeah, that like even though it takes away its abilities, if you turn it into a thing after the fact, like he says at one point, for example, Treetop Village, if you were to activate it, and humility was out, would still be a 3/3.
But I can't
But
counter place them.
you know, things change, layers change,
Okay,
rules
And
change.
that clarifies everything?
Anytime you're invoking
Yeah.
humility to
Okay.
explain a game state,
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right, looks like they have things
you have an
resolved.
interesting game state.
you're going
2,
to 3.
4, 5.
Right. So what's happening?
So right
So
now,
I'm taking it. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 artifacts. So this is a 9.
so it's a 9/9,
This is a 2. This is a
2,
2.
2,
And this is 14.
1. That's 14 damage.
Uh,
You know, I don't think he's going to take damage from the
Okay, so just no damage from the
ink moth. I don't
mean,
think they're counting it.
that entire conversation, very important. That said,
Yes.
the ink moth would not have been lethal.
Congratulations for knowing the
Or yeah, would have been lethal because got boosted
Also,
by
we
Master
just
and Signal Pass.
Svi just congratulated Matt for knowing the rules.
Yeah. That
Look,
said,
rules are hard.
we see a birthing pod windmill slammed on the table for Matt, but that birthing pod not going to accomplish a lot due to the Graph Digger's Cage
That's
that is
right.
devastating Matt's side of the board right,
Right.
now.
Graph Digger's Cage says players can't enter the battlefield from graveyards or libraries, and that's exactly what Birthing Pod does. So
Graph Digger
you can
Cage,
activate it. It's a sack outlet. Not
Graph Digger's
repeatable.
Cage was explicitly designed to hose Birthing Pod.
Ah,
That's
Birthing
exactly
Pod
what
was
the card
a
was supposed
favorite
to
of the
do.
FFL, or
It was not.
oh, okay.
There's a lot of Birthing Pod decks that got played.
That's what I was asking.
Yeah.
yeah.
We also knew that it was in the same set as Undying, and we wanted there to be some, slight pressure coming.
I
up against
like
Undying.
Graph Digger's Cage a lot. It's a nice surgical tool to hit certain things and not hit everything. I like that.
Oh yeah.
Now we have
It's-
rest in peace.
As powerful as it is, you're still down a card when you cast it.
Yep.
So
I guess it's half.
you
It's hard to
can't
attack
be
with it.
frivolous about it.
This guy's going to have 3 power.
This is a very friendly game 3 in the top 8, by the
Yeah.
way. They are like working out together who's going to win this game.
That's like both these players have been in this spot before, so
That's
Do
true.
you have any outs after that?
Probably not.
Svi just says, "Do you have any outs after that?"
I mean, I think what Matt, he's got access to Lingering Souls,
Uh-huh.
which is kind of exactly what it's in his deck after sideboard for situations like this.
Right.
But it has a lot of damage coming over.
That's right, and that Graph Digger's Cage is a big deal. Now, he also has a Harmonic Sliver in his hand,
Oh, wow.
but I don't think he has enough time. Like, if he wants to put it on the Graph Digger's Cage, he can't win this turn with the combo, and that
And
means
he
that he's
just
going to
dies
die.
in the air,
Yeah,
yeah.
like when you start chump blocking with your Malira, things go downhill as far as comboing goes. So,
we
yeah.
see Lingering Souls, Ravager.
All right, and then Svi says, "Look, I've got a Ravager. I can just move my counters wherever I need to and kill you."
All right.
Yeah.
Answer the question.
Well, anywhere except for Inkmoth Nexus.
That's right.
because
Apparently.
it does deal damage. The damage
Although
is
maybe
not
not.
anything.
So you would have stopped.
Okay,
it
so
back
Right.
this is an
Had
interesting
you-
situation
had you
that you
gone
face
cards, that
sometimes.
would've
The side judge, the table judge, is clarifying. That's Arthur Halvace, and the question was, will this Inkmoth Nexus deal damage? And the question and the answer is yes. It just doesn't do anything.
Yes, it does deal damage. So that's what it was.
Huh?
Apparently, the way it deals damage is by infect, and you can't get infect.
Oh,
so
okay.
just nothing
So
happens.
it layers the infect onto it, but it says you can't get poison counters, or is that what it says? I don't know. Yes, I would.
Yeah,
let
well, so
Rashad
there's two things
please
at play here.
allow
Rashad's
us to understand.
is gonna relay to us the exact ruling because I obviously am not a judge and I don't know. But
not clear that, like,
one of the interesting things that just happened is they asked the side judge, and the side judge says, yes, it does do damage. That was the question, and
Oh,
he's
right.
not
So he
allowed
answered
to
the
say.
question literally.
Yes, and he said he apologized, but he said, I'm not allowed to answer questions other than exactly what you asked me. And the technical ruling is, yes, it does deal damage. It just doesn't do, the damage doesn't do anything. So it's kind of interesting because, the judge isn't allowed to help you win the game, and he was very by the book on that one. But Svi said, well, so if I would have attacked, then you would have said, well, there's no life lost in this transaction? And he said, yeah. So.
All right. Intuitive.
Svi won.
So Zvi got that match, though.
He did
And
win that match.
Very, very good match.
A very good
Very
match.
Epic match against Matt Nass.
Okay, and apparently we have another match here that we can
Yeah,
bounce
let's watch
over
some
to
more
as
magic.
well.
I can't answer that question.
Who are we looking at here?
I asked you the question. What would be the game?
Is this the match we were looking at earlier, Paul Reitzel versus Samuel Party, or is this? Oh no, this is, I believe, Dan McDonald versus Ori Kor.
Ori, yeah, this is versus Ori. This is the deck that you like quite a bit. It has a
yeah,
lot
this
of the
deck
cheap,
rules.
awesome stuff on the right-hand side. Now, right now, he's got a Batter Skull, and he's facing down. Is that a Sin Collector?
That is a Sin Collector.
Nice. I
Give
like
me
that.
your sins.
I like that. There's
I
also
want
an
'em.
Orzhov Pontiff and a Spirit Token.
Yeah, we see a Quarter Calling in Dan McDonald's hand. I guess that answers the mana.
That does
deprived
answer the question, indeed. We see he's got his Canadian flag on his arm and his mana-deprived hoodie there. So he definitely came down with those guys. We were wondering, I mean, just because it says Canada, I automatically think, I wonder if he's with those guys, but a lot of other Canadians here, too. You never know.
Interestingly, Dan McDonald registered a 61-card deck.
Did he just kill
What is happening?
the Batter Skull?
I have actual no idea what is happening.
Well, the Batter Skull is in the graveyard, so he killed it. I can't quite see because there's a glare.
That's definitely a Quarter Calling. There's
Yeah,
something
I
over
see
it,
that. Maybe
but
it's a Harmonic Sliver. Maybe it's a... I
I'm
don't
sure
think they
it was
run Acidic
maybe
Slime.
a Kasali Primate.
It could have been a Pride Mage, too.
He definitely runs Kasali
Yeah, I just
Primate
can't. I
in
just
his
can't
main
quite
deck.
see it, but it does look like he caught him in an open spot, and the Batter Skull is in the bin now. Here's a Kitchen Finks for Dan McDonald.
Get out of the kitchen. Yeah, so, and then nothing can really attack through
There it
that
is. It's a
Celestial
Kasali
Calling.
Pride
Kasali
Mage.
Pride Mage,
Yep.
got you. Yeah, okay. So, we're trying to see if we can do anything crazy with that Orzhov Pontiff, but without a sack outlet, it's kind of hard to catch. We see a Thought Seize from Dan McDonald. Kind of risky to cast right now, though. Ori can attack for 4 points of damage in the air with Colonnade if he wants to, and deal 2 with Grim Lavamancer. So Dan needs to be very careful about his life total right now.
Could be at 2 here.
Yeah.
Could be one untapped step and a Grim Lavamancer activation away from death, or even just a Lightning Bolt.
Right. Yes, that Spirit is not going to be long for this world.
No.
And, so Thoughtseize, kind of a bold card. Now we see Birthing Pod in Dan's hand. The issue is, what can he do with it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Sin Collector
always
trades
something,
up.
right?
There is always something. I mean, we've seen a lot of Ranger of Eos,
Yep.
which he can definitely go get. He can definitely get a Murderous Red Cap.
Uh-huh.
But
Take care of that Grim Lavamancer there.
yeah, exactly. But, I mean, he still's got to be able to deal with these Colonnades. Colonnade, just a defining card of the format. Just every
it's
single time we see it is just
Man,
owning the
that card
board.
is so awesome.
McDonald's list, kind of interesting. He actually main decks Thoughtseize, which
Oh,
we
he
don't
does.
see in a lot of
Okay,
these
so
lists.
that's a twist for sure. Now we did see him activate Colonnade and then activate his Lavamaster to take out
The Spirit.
the Spirit and get in there for 4. I'm assuming his life total's now 5.
Now, something else that we should... Okay, so 14, Redori. I thought this life total's a little hard than that. Okay, so are these actual life totals 7 to 14?
Okay, maybe they just weren't updated before.
Huh. So, I mean, a pretty big attack from Dan, actually. I mean, that's 6 points of damage, and this Birthing Pod now going to allow him to sacrifice the Orzhov Pontiff if he wants to. Also can sack Kitchen Finks. I think Ranger's the best target. He also could theoretically get Phyrexian Metamorph, which could target any of Sin Collector or Finks or Pontiff.
In the meantime, he gains 2 life.
Also gaining 2 life, very important right now. Pretty tight matchup.
These
then
guys are
red cap.
tied at 1 game each, and they are looking. Remember, this is a key part of the tournament because the winner of this match, they get to go to the Pro Tour.
Yeah.
The loser of this match, yeah, they got a nice top 8 under their belt, and they should be very, very proud. A nice cash finish, but there's a nice jump here,
Yeah, oh, yeah.
you know, to getting
Very
that Pro
important
Tour
match.
invite as well.
So we're seeing Metamorph. Now, Metamorph and Persist interact very interestingly.
They do. They let you re-choose.
Yeah.
All right. It looks like he's copied the Kitchen Finks.
So right now he's just like, yeah, okay, I can start dealing tons of damage.
Yep.
I'm going to gain a ton of life. I've got my opponent down to 8. And, you know, I have, 3, 6, 7, 9 power worth of attacks on the table. So,
He's also just ignored the
or sorry,
Lava
8
Mancer.
power because of the Kitchen Finks' Persist counter.
Uh-huh.
All right, so what's that, a Snapcaster Mage from Ori?
Unfortunately, his graveyard, I
Yeah.
believe, is Vendilion Click and and a Batter Skull.
Got to get an Ambush Viper here.
Yeah.
And,
Ambush Viper's better.
yeah.
Dead
Yeah, you
fast.
know what? I want to see that Snapcaster Mage hit. Then I want to see Dan sack his Phyrexian Metamorph,
Mm-hmm.
bring it back, cloning Snapcaster Mage, and I want to see him cast Court of Calling to win the game by getting a Malira right now,
I like it. Ooh, that's a big
Ooh-ha.
one. Gavany
He-
Township here.
which can cancel out the -1/-1 counters on Kitchen Finks or on Murderous Redcap if he searches that out of his deck.
That's right, and it also present. I mean, I guess he's not lethal here. He's got 4 creatures, but still, these things are getting it out of hand. I wouldn't be surprised if next turn he could attack
So
all in
this
and kill
this
him.
is close to game, right? Because
Yeah.
he can tutor up Ranger Veos. He can get Viscera Seer and a 1-drop. Oh, but then he can't sack the 1-drop from Malira until next turn. So he's a turn away from just ending the game directly right
He
now.
is. Yep, he has all the necessary pieces. Also, he can just win the game by doing this.
Yeah, right, turning
Right.
his guys sideways.
Yes, attack
So it's
you.
a
pump
tried
them
and true
all,
method of
attack
ending
you.
games.
Yeah.
I just want to see Dan flashback his Court of Calling with his opponent's Snapcaster Mage. That will be what makes me happy.
Now I kind of want to see it too.
Standings have been posted.
So Ori trying to figure out how he's going to survive this attack. Obviously, he can use Grim Lavamancer if he wants to. He could use his Snapcaster Mage right now. He's still, I mean, he wants to put himself in a good position to go on offense. Oh, okay, so we see a Vendilion Click.
And he said he's targeting him.
All right, so Dan's like, whatever, I don't care.
Yep, he just lets him keep both of those cards. Vendilion Click's ability is optional. We were mentioning that earlier, Zach, that a lot of times people feel compelled to pick a
They
card.
use it,
but-
yeah, right, exactly.
But Ori said, no, those are fine.
So, okay. So we would I mean, you'd think that you'd want to use that Grim Lavamancer to kill the Phyrexian Metamorph when it comes back. Oh, okay, but no, he's just blocking it.
Just going to do it in the things because
Yeah.
it prevents that counter from leaving.
Okay, and now I see Gavany Township, yeah, doing its work. All
All
right.
right, so persist. Because it was a Kitchen Finks when it died, it still gets the trigger when it hits the yard.
Do you think he's going to just decide to copy Orzhov Panev and just kill that Grim Lavamancer, get it out of the way for
I
good?
mean, he could have done that before. So,
Sure.
I don't know.
And now there's not another Finks to target. Yeah, okay.
He did.
So what's happening? It still stays on the
He's
table, right?
Haunting
Oh, okay.
something.
Haunt? Huh? I mean, I feel like my brain has officially turned into mud.
I think he's birthing potting it.
Yeah. I just thought the Metamorph came back not as a I don't know. It depends on what he chose. With
Well,
Metamorph.
whatever it was killed the.
Yeah. I assume it
came back as a
bus-
pontiff.
Okay, so he's sacking the Pontiff. No. Yeah, but how did his Metamorph die?
He'd sacrifice it to the birthing pot.
So how did his other Pontiff die then?
got blocked by the Vendilion click, I think.
Okay, so the real Pontiff was haunting the. Whatever.
Yeah, well, he's got a Linvala.
He's got a Linvala and
Keeper
he's got a Sin
Silence
Collector.
now.
So it's Linvala and
It's
Sin
always tough when
Collector
we come
versus
into these
Celestial
games in the
Colonnade.
middle.
Yeah, exactly.
It's hard enough when we don't.
Yeah. Wow.
Ooh, a batter skull.
And that is some big game right here.
Huh.
Not as big game as it could be because that Linval is going to be a 4/5. It can actually deal with the batter skull. Also can trade up for a Reveal Arc. Also can, anytime your opponent's got an active Birthing Pod, you are not excited. And yeah, just going to attack for 3, and batter skull cannot block, so that 3 damage is going to do it.
And that's going to do it. So Dan McDonald is going to advance here. This puts him not only an invite at the Pro Tour, he also, still in this tournament. He's in the semifinals
right.
now. With his little bit of a different twist. We didn't see too many Ferks and Metamorphs running around earlier in the Malirapod decks, but it seemed to service him quite well there.
No, absolutely.
So let's take a look at the bracket here. We see that Joe Demestrio, with his Scape Shift deck, has gotten by the mirror match, Mattia Rizzi. Then on the bottom, a match that we had on our main feature match, there's V. Moshowitz has defeated Matt Nass and his Malirapod in a really nice, close, well-fought match.
Yes.
Up above, Ori Guo, we really kind of wanted to see what his deck had. A bunch of cheap,
That was
efficient,
really
awesome
cool.
stuff. Yep, but it looks like Malirapod was victorious there, and we saw that in that last game. And then on the bottom, Paul Rietzel, another top 8 for him. He just picks these things up like nothing, but he wasn't able to get by Sam Party. Also, a top 8er and a Mox competitor.